Welcome back to the Fantasy Cricket Coach. Today we are previewing Game Week 3 and looking at my team selection. It's going to be a bit of a long video today because it's a very interesting couple of weeks coming up. We have blank game weeks. Each of the teams in the county championship will not be playing one of the weeks between game weeks 4, 5, and 6. So we'll look at some of the most transferred in players and out players this week, and then we'll look at my team for the next few weeks, and hopefully my transfer plans and ideas and sort of the graphics I've made up could be helpful for you and your teams to decide what you want to do, which weeks, and how you go about that. So, first of all, we'll have a little preview for the week. Looking at the transfers in, we've got Simpson, Rue, Ali, McKinney, and Dawson. I think Simpson, Brew, and McKinney are all in really good form. They're all really good options. They did well last week. McKinney is obviously the value pick there for his price. It's pretty good. Tazim Ali doing very well for a 4 million player. I mean, I think I've got him in my transfer plans coming up. And Dawson's always a good pick. He's a little expensive, but at some point, I think you're definitely going to want him in your team. I think he's definitely going to have to come in for me. He's a really good fantasy option. He just picks up points every season. So those are the biggest transfers in this week. I think lots of wicket keepers there. That seems to be where a lot of the value is this week, and I think that reflects in the transfers out. As we see here, we've got Bracey, Bairstow, Dudgeon, Ollie Robinson, and Archie Vaughan. Again, three wicket keepers on each list. So clearly, there's a bit of a split between the wicket keepers. Dudgeon is injured for the rest of the season. It's a bit of a shame. But apart from that, I think these are all sort of players who have just not quite started the season as quick as people thought. They're all good players and they're all playing, but no huge scores for any of them, which is pretty tough because they're all good players. It could have really gone either way. Personally, I have Bracey in my team, and I'm definitely looking to get rid of him. I'm not sure if it's going to be possible because he does play in Game Week 4, which I think I really need. So it might not be possible, but none of them are bad picks in their own right. And if you have them in your team, you don't have to rush them out of your team. Any one of those could go score 100 this week, goes pick up 5 wickets, whatever it is. I think Archie Vaughan's a great all-rounder for his price as well. So don't have to rush them out of the team, but that's who people are getting rid of this week, and understandably so. Okay, so looking forward, the aim is really to try and get 11 players each week out in your team. Each team, as I said before, blanks once over 3 weeks. So if you have 15 players in a team and each one of them blanks once, over the 3 weeks, you'll have about 5 blanks a week on average. So you're trying to work around your team with 4 substitutes. That means you have to make transfers and plan ahead and so figure out which weeks your players are blanking, which weeks you have to really use your transfers well, and maybe you have to plan ahead and make some transfers now to deal with that a bit better. And you have to think a bit more about the points hit as well. So you get minus 75 points per penalty transfer. So usually you get 2 free transfers, and then for every transfer you use over that, you get 3 penalty transfers, and they cost 75 points each. And we get some more extra transfers in the game. So we get 4 in Game Week 4, 3 in Game Week 5 and 6 as free transfers, and then there's also the 3 penalty transfers on top of that. So it's worth looking at ahead of your team, because if you have to take a penalty transfer, a hit to bring a player in, that's obviously 75 points. But then if you then have to hit them back out of your team, that's then at minus 150 points. And then is it really worth it? They need to have a very, very good game week. So if you have a lot of transfers planned, a lot of hits to be taken, you have to do very well just to break even. And, to actually get points, you have to have a really superb game week. So even though it does seem like that 75 points on the surface, if you then want to get rid of them again, if it's only 1 or 2 weeks you need them for, that's then 150 points potentially. You don't necessarily need, I think this may be a bit of a misconception, you don't necessarily need an 11 every week, but I think it's team dependent. Especially Game Week 4, there's a lot of teams not playing. So if you struggle to get 11 players out and you're thinking about having to take a 150, 225 point hit, is that worth it? Maybe. Depends who you're bringing in. It's team dependent. It's tough to say, but you don't necessarily have to have a full 11 every week. Having 10 or even maybe 9, just try and sort of survive that week almost. Try and just get to like evens, a small red arrow, maybe even a green one, and that's fine. So I think with those extra transfers are going to be really useful. And yeah, just sort of plan ahead, have a look at your team. So personally, this is sort of what my team looks like at the moment. I'm a bit kind of screwed, I'd say. I planned well at the start of the season for these blank game weeks, but I had to make some last minute changes. Well, I did have to actually. I did make some last minute changes to my bench, which means I ended up being doubled up on teams. So, for example, I have Sutton and Jennings, Shake and Yates, Barnard, and all playing for Walks, Thane and Cook. So I don't have much team diversity on the bench, and they also happened to blank in game week 4. So those last minute transfers in game week 1 to really cheap bench options has backfired slightly, which means that I need transfers this week and next week to work towards having a full 11 in game week 4, 5, and 6, really. So, yeah, this is what my current team looks like. 11 players blank in game week 4 here. So, I need to have 7 transfers in 2 weeks to make a full playing 11. So, I think I'll take 3 transfers this week, the 4 free ones next week. So, that'll be a total of 75. One hit, 75 points, I think is okay. So, I do need those 7 transfers. And then so essentially, this is what it looks like. I've come up with this graphic. This is my team. These are my transfers. Your team will obviously look slightly different, but you can hopefully use this thing to try to sort of work through your transfers and see what you should be doing. Okay, so what I have here, I have each game week and then who I'm going to transfer, what my transfers are in between. So, for example, my game week 2 team there, that was last week. And then this week, I think I'm going to do Kieran Castle to John Simpson. He seems like he's in really good form, playing very well for Sussex. If he's in good form, he can score runs every week. Very exciting. I really want him in. And then Joey Everson to Cam Green. I mentioned at the start of the season, I really wanted Cam Green. I think he's a really, really good all-rounder, and I think he could come into this county championship and just do superbly well. So I think it's a bit of a gamble because we don't actually know necessarily where Cam Green is going to bat or how much he's going to bowl, but I think there's really high potential there, and he's going to be pretty low owned this week. And I think I might even potentially captain him. I just think it could be a really good punt for a week. So I want Cam Green in. And then to make up some money, because I obviously don't have the budget to do that, I planning to have code out for Farhan Ahmed. Now, that's pretty much just a budget decision. I think code is a really good option, but I've also got Cook and O'Neill, who I sort of want to keep the whole time too. And so I need to get rid of one of them, and I think it's going to be code that has to go. So I think I'm planning on bringing Farhan Ahmed. He looks like a really good budget pick. He's really cheap, so I think he would be good. And this would mean game week 3, as you can see here, I would have a full playing. Obviously, everyone plays that week anyway, so I'd have a full team. And then the week after, so game week 3 to game week 4, I were planning on doing sort of a lot of bench transfers. So I have Weatherall to Hogg, who plays, Shake to McCann, Thane to Ethan Brooks. All 3 of those transfers are cheap player to cheap player, staying within my budget. The game week 2 to game week 3 transfers give me 1.6 million in the bank. So the game week 3 to game week 4, I can sort of things like Shake to McCann is a bit of an upgrade money wise. So I can use that money there. And then I needed to have one more player out. Sutton cost 4 million. So there's no real opportunity to transfer him out with the budget I have. So I decided to go Jennings to Ackerman. I think Ackerman could be a really fun punt for a week. I think could be good. And then you'll see on the other side of game week 4, I decided to go back to Jennings actually. So that's only a 1 week punt really on Ackerman there. And then, so the game week 4 to game week 5, I then have McCann transferring out for Charlie Allison and Brooks out for Tazim Ali, which then would give me 11 playing players that week too. And actually, I would have one bench option. So the Jennings transfer's a bit of a luxury, really. And if things go wrong, I can always, not do that one. But it's a bit of a luxury transfer because I would actually have a spare transfer that week in order to get one benching player, which would be nice. So that would be I would get my full 11 in game week 5, and then game week 5 to game week 6, my team's looking pretty good. I think I would like to get James Bracey out. He's not started the season very well. There's a lot of really good wicketkeeper options. I've got Simpson in my team. I'd like Carl Verena in. I think he started really well. He did really well till the end of last season. So I think Carl Varane would come in that week. Carl Varane could also potentially come in a week early between game week 4 and 5 instead of the Ackerman and Jennings move. But that will be a bit of a situation one. And then Hogg would move to someone like Thane or Vaughan because that week I'm benching a lot of my all rounders. So Holland, Higgins, Green, all benched that week because I don't have fixtures. So a cheap all rounder, Thane, Vaughan, someone like that would, I think, be a good transfer. But obviously, these transfers are all really subject to change. Things like injuries can make a big difference. Price changes could also make a difference. And I'm also just assuming that all these players are playing each week. One of them could get benched for a week. Someone like Sam Cook, Essex have just signed another seamer, so potentially Sam Cook gets benched this week, and then he doesn't have a fixture in game week 4. And therefore, I think what I would do then is instead of doing Code to Farhan Ahmed this week, I would then do Cook to Farhan Ahmed this week, because that would mean Cook would be playing for 2 weeks back to back. And so there's a lot of money sitting on the bench for 2 weeks. So then I would get rid of Cook. So things like that could happen. There are, different scenarios in which this exact transfer plan doesn't happen. But this is at least roughly what I'm looking at doing and how I'm going to get 11 players out each week. Also, injuries. It's hard to tell a full month away from game week 6, but hopefully this is the plan. Okay, so my planned transfers for this week then, just looking back to this week, looking ahead to game week 3, what am I doing this week? I think I'm going to do Kieran Carlson to John Simpson. I've actually chosen John Simpson over James Rue, mainly because of the fixtures. Rue has Surrey and Essex the next 2 weeks. Simpson has Notts and Worcestershire. So I just think he has much better fixtures. And he started the season slightly better, and I'm just going to back him. Everson for Green. I'm really excited to see him. I mentioned him just now. I think he's going to smash county cricket. So Green, really excited to get him in. And then Code to Farhan Ahmed. And as I said, again, budget pick, needs to free up some money. I think that's sort of my transfers for this week. I've technically done them already, but they could be reversed, changed up a little bit if needs be. So here's what my team will look like. I think a couple of things here. Bracey, I think, will keep the gloves because Gloucestershire are more likely to pick up 20 wickets against Kent than Sussex are against Surrey. So I just think maybe there's more catch points there potentially. So I think Bracey obviously stays this week as he has a fixture in game week 4. And I think he'll keep him with the gloves so he can pick up those points. Captaincy, I was thinking maybe Yates, as he started really well, but he has Nottinghamshire, which means he'll be facing O'Neill with the new ball early on. And O'Neill's done really well. I have him in my team. He's done really well in this early season, so I'm not sure that is a matchup I really want to target captaincy-wise. So, and then I was thinking maybe Higgins against Glamorgan. I've captained him for the last 2 weeks. Glamorgan at home is a good fixture. I think he's a safe pick. I think he would do what he's done for the last 2 weeks, between 100 and 200 points. It's not bad. I think it's a safe pick. I currently have it on Cam Green, though. I think he's risky. As I mentioned earlier, don't know if he's going to bat or bowl, like how much he's going to bat and bowl, but I think he's got a really high upside. So I think there's a bit of a punt. I think it could pay off and really boost my rank to get me inside that top 2%, top 1%. So finally, I could play Rafi Weatherall over Farhan Ahmed this week as he's Derbyshire, but I'm not sure about that one. It might come down to a sort of last-minute decision or a weather forecast or something like that to tilt it in either of their favour. Finally, just remember, you don't want to pick an individual from the same teams who play in either game week 3, 4, or 5, or 3, 5, and 6, or something like that. You want to spread out the amount of players you have blanking each week, because otherwise you can have a real headache when it comes to that week. So do plan ahead, do have a little look, doesn't have to be long, have a small look at who you have playing in each week, and make sure you don't have your entire team blanking in one of the game weeks, because that could be really tough to get out of. So thank you very much for watching. As a really long one today, I appreciate you all. If you want to steal any of my graphics, go ahead. I've got my obviously the transfer plan chart and also which teams blank in which weeks. I've uploaded that one to my X, Twitter, whatever it is, too. So enjoy. Good luck with everything. Good luck with the game week. Hope you score lots of points. And I'll catch you guys all next week. Thank you very much.